Kim Jong-un's recent speech at a newly opened memorial museum in Pyongyang has drawn international attention for its stark admission: North Korean soldiers are being encouraged to kill themselves rather than be taken prisoner. Speaking before Russian officials and a crowd of military dignitaries, the North Korean leader described the act as extraordinary heroism and said troops have unhesitatingly opted for self-blasting, suicide attack to avoid capture. The museum, dedicated to North Korean troops killed while fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine, opened on the one-year anniversary of the recapture of Russia's Kursk region. During the ceremony, Kim performed symbolic gestures, throwing dirt over the remains of a fallen soldier, laying flowers, and writing in the guest book, while Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov and State Duma Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin looked on. According to intelligence assessments, Pyongyang has deployed roughly 15,000 troops to support Russia's invasion of Ukraine since 2022. Of those, an estimated 2,000 have already died in combat. A significant portion of those fatalities are believed to be self-inflicted, with soldiers choosing to detonate explosives or use other means to avoid being taken as prisoners of war. Reports from Ukrainian sources indicate that only 2 North Korean soldiers have been captured alive since their involvement became known in October 2024, underscoring the effectiveness of the suicide directive. One eyewitness account cited by a confidential source described a wounded soldier attempting to bite his own wrists to prevent capture, while others have reportedly killed themselves to defend their country's honor, stating they expected no compensation or reward for their self-sacrifice. Kim's remarks extended beyond praise for individual bravery. He framed the North Korean contribution as part of a broader struggle against what he called a US-led Western hegemonic plot and military adventurism. The North Korean leader characterized the joint campaign as a new history of friendship with Russia written in blood and a sacred war to wipe out the Ukrainian armed invaders. The ceremony also served as a platform to solidify military ties between the two nations. Belousov informed Kim that Russia and North Korea were prepared to sign a formal military cooperation plan covering the years 2027 through 2031. According to Russian state news agency TASS, the agreement would institutionalize joint training, technology sharing, and logistical support, signaling a long-term strategic partnership. A letter read aloud during the event from Russian President Vladimir Putin described the new museum as a clear symbol of the friendship and solidarity between Moscow and Pyongyang. Putin's message reinforced the narrative that the alliance is not merely tactical but ideological, rooted in a shared opposition to Western influence. The revelation of a policy that encourages suicide attacks raises serious humanitarian and legal concerns. International law prohibits compelling soldiers to commit suicide or to engage in acts that amount to self-destruction as a means of avoiding capture. Such practices could be classified as inhumane treatment and may constitute war crimes under the Geneva Conventions. Analysts warn that the public glorification of suicide attacks could further incentivize risky behavior among North Korean troops, potentially increasing casualties and complicating any future efforts to negotiate prisoner exchanges or ceasefire agreements. The high death toll already reported suggests that the strategy is taking a severe toll on the North Korean contingent. At the same time, the deepening military cooperation with Russia presents a shift in the geopolitical landscape of the conflict. A formalized pact extending to 2031 could enable sustained North Korean involvement, providing Moscow with additional manpower while granting Pyongyang valuable combat experience and access to Russian military technology. The story encapsulates a disturbing intersection of authoritarian propaganda, brutal battlefield tactics, and evolving alliances. Kim Jong-un's public celebration of self-destruction as heroism challenges conventional notions of military sacrifice and raises urgent questions about the lengths to which regimes will go to sustain their war efforts. As the war in Ukraine grinds on, the North Korean contribution, marked by both tragic loss and stark ideological messaging, remains a focal point for observers seeking to understand how external actors shape the conflict's trajectory. The emerging Russia-North Korea military framework may leave a lasting imprint not only on the current war but also on regional security dynamics for years to come. In summary, the ceremony at the Pyongyang Memorial Museum revealed a chilling policy. North Korean soldiers are being urged to kill themselves to avoid capture, a tactic framed as extraordinary heroism. Thousands have been deployed alongside Russian forces, with significant losses reported. The event also cemented a long-term military cooperation plan between Pyongyang and Moscow, signaling a deepening alliance that could influence the war's outcome and future geopolitical balances.